Hello students, welcome back. This is Dr. Mercado once again going over important information from Chapter 2, Computing Wages and Salaries. In this course is Accounting 1329, Payroll and Business Tax Accounting. Now I'm going to jump over. In this particular lecture, we are going to be once again being provided with a time card that we have to analyze to calculate the hours worked and our weekly earnings. Okay. Now the problem that we are covering in this lecture is problem 210A. The problem states as follows. Okay. Villegas Incorporated recently converted from a 5-day, 40-hour work week to a 4-day, 40-hour work week, with overtime continuing to be paid at 1.5 times the regular hourly rate for all hours worked beyond 40 in the week. In this, company time is recorded under the continental system as shown on the time card below. Okay, so we've got the time card. Sue Ellen Boggs is part of Group B employees whose regular work week is Tuesday through Friday. Okay, so remember, they're only working 4 days out of the week. Okay, the working hours are from 8 in the morning to 12 at lunch, and then from 12:30 to 16:30, and then from 18 to 20. Okay, so I guess they get a little break in between. So they go in at work at 8 in the morning, they clock out for lunch at 12, they clock back in from lunch at 12:30, they clock out at 16:30, and then they clock back in at 18, and then they clock out at 20. A little bit complicated, okay? The company disregards any time before 8 a.m. So if you clock in early, the company disregards it. They're not going to pay you. They disregard any time between 12 and 12:30, between 16:30 and 1800. And they allow employees to ring in up to 10 minutes late before any deductions are made for tardiness. So the company's pretty lenient. They gave their employees a 10-minute leeway so that way they can get to work without being penalized. Okay? Deductions are made to the nearest 1/4 of an hour for workers who are more than 10 minutes late in ringing in. Okay? We are being asked to calculate the daily total hours, the total hours for the week, the regular weekly earnings, the overtime earnings, and the total weekly earnings. Okay? Now, I went ahead and I created this little template. Some of us have difficulty because we are not accustomed to using the continental system of the time. Okay? So, in a regular system and versus our continental system, if it's 1, it's going to be 1 on both, 2, 3, 4. The system changes when we reach, once again, the 1 o'clock, 1 p.m. So once we come back from lunch, the regular system that we are accustomed to, we restart our clocks at 1. Okay? In the continental system, we continue the hours as 13, 14, 15, 16. So let's say, for example, here, from 8 to 12, so we work in the morning, from 8 in the morning to 12 at lunch, okay? So we worked, those hours are going to be the same, okay? If you see there. Now, from 12:30 to 16:30, okay? So from 12:30 to 16:30. Now, if they worked at 16:30, that means they worked at 4:30 p.m. Okay, so look, 16 is 4, so that means 16:30 would be 4:30. Okay, 18 is 6 p.m. Okay, so that means that they clocked out at 6 p.m. and they clocked back. They clocked in at 18. They clocked in at 18. All right, so let's see what happens. You clock in, you clock out, you clock in, you clock out, and then you clock back in at 18. So you clock in at 6 p.m. and then you clock out at 8 p.m. Okay, so I don't know why these people are clocking in and out so many times during the day, but okay. So, in order for us to convert it, if it's 20, that means they're clocking out at 8 p.m. Okay, if they're clocking in from their break at 18, that means they're clocking in at 6 p.m. Okay, so this would just help us kind of like get an idea, okay, what time is it in our time, kind of a thing, okay? So, let's see what we have here. And remember, the employees can clock in 10 minutes late, but if they are over 10 minutes, then they will be penalized. They're going to get penalized 1/4 of an hour. Okay? So, the time card here, we're going to have Tuesday. Okay? And we start from the bottom up. Okay? Morning, afternoon, and evening. It is very important that before you start solving the problem, You look at the layout, you look at the information, what information is being provided. Okay, so this is a time card. It's organized into 3 categories. They clock in the morning, afternoon, and evening. Okay, so we're gonna go from down up. Okay, so let's look at Tuesday. At Tuesday, Sue clocks in at 7:55. The problem says that if they clock in a couple of minutes early, they don't get paid. So that's fine. Sue clocks out at 12, which is the correct time she's supposed to clock out for lunch. She clocks in at 12:30, which is what the time she needs to do it. She clocks in, out, in, out. She clocks out at 16:30. Okay, and then she clocks in at 18:01. Okay, it's a minute late. And it states here that deductions, the company disregards any time before, between, and in between. Okay, so then that's not going to affect Sue. And then Sue clocked out at 20:02. Okay, so nothing in this particular column is impacting her time worked. Okay, so let's see. So in the morning, let's look at the morning, afternoon, and evening totals. Okay, so in the morning, from 7:55 to 12, that means that she worked about 4 hours. Okay, because we're not going to pay her for that 7:55. She was supposed to clock in at 8. So we're going to pay her from 8 to 12. On the morning, she worked 4 hours. Okay, in the afternoon, from 12:30 to 16:30, that's 4 hours. And then in the evening, she worked from 18 to 20. She worked 2 hours. Okay, so the total hours worked this day were, let me see, I entered the formula wrong. We're going to add these. So she worked 10 hours on Tuesday. Okay, let's look at Wednesday. Okay, from 7:50 to 12. Okay, so she clocked in 10 minutes early. She's not going to get paid for those 10 minutes. She clocked out 2 minutes late. That's fine. Policy states they're not going to get penalized. So that means that in the morning of Wednesday, she worked 4 hours. Okay, and then she clocked in at 12:31, which is a minute late, and she clocked out at 16:31. Nothing will be happen here because those are minor adjustments that are allowed in the company. So those are 4 hours. Okay, and then in the evening from 18:09, she clocked in at 18:09. She clocked in 9 minutes late, but that is still allowed because they give them a 10-minute leadway. So no penalty will be assessed there. So she clocked in at 18:09. So we're going to assume it's 18 to 20. Okay, so that means that this person worked another 2 hours. Okay, so that means that on Wednesday, Sue worked 10 hours. Okay, now let's see what happened on Thursday. Okay, now look here, a remark. Okay, they did all of the work for you. It says that on Thursday, 13 minutes late. Okay, so if we recall, Sue should have clocked in at 8. Sue clocked in at 8:13. Sue is 13 minutes late. Okay, so that means that we're going to penalize Sue by 1/4. Okay, so we're going to penalize her by 1/4. 1/4 is 0.25. So we're going to penalize her by 0.25. Okay, so that means that 1 minus 0.25, that means that she worked 0.75 hours that first hour that she worked. Okay, so she clocked in at 8:13. That's a penalty of 0.25, and she clocked out at 12. So in the morning, she is going to get penalized. So that means that she only worked 9.75 hours. She has 1/4 penalty. 1/4 penalty. I'm sorry about that. 1 divided by 4. So she got a 0.25 penalty for being 13 minutes late. This is a penalty. So that means she worked 9.75 hours. Okay. So 4 hours. What did I do here? This should be 375. Okay. So she was supposed to work 4 hours, but because she was late 13 minutes, she's going to get penalized. So 4 minus a penalty of 0.25, that means she worked 375, okay, for the morning shift, okay. In the afternoon, she clocked in at 12:30, clocked out at 16:30, which is perfect. That means she worked 4 hours. And in the evening, she worked 18:02, so she was 2 minutes late, and then she clocked out at 20:05. Okay, so these adjustments are allowed. She's not gonna get paid for being 2 minutes late or clocking out 5 minutes late. Okay, so that means that person worked 2 hours. Okay, so for that particular day on Thursday, Sue worked 9.75 hours. So she got penalized 0.25 because she was 13 minutes late. Okay. On Friday, this person clocked in at 7:59 and clocked out at 12:03. Those are allowed adjustments there. So from 8 to 12, that's 4 hours. Okay. For the afternoon, she clocked in at 12:38. She clocked in 8 minutes late. But remember, they're allowed 10 minutes. So 12:38 and clocked out at 16:35. So these are not going to be impacted. So that means from 12:30 to 16:30, that's 4 hours. And then she clocked in at 18 and clocked out at 20, which is perfect. That means she worked 2 hours. Okay. And then this employee was asked to work on Saturday. This employee worked from 8 to 12:01. They clocked out a minute late. They're not going to get paid for that minute. So we're going to assume that on Saturday, this employee worked 4 hours. Okay. So now we have the totals by day and by category. The morning category, the afternoon, and the evening category. So they want to know the daily total hours. Okay. The daily total hours are right here. 10 hours, 10 hours, 975, 10, and 4. So this table gives you the daily total hours. The total hours for the week, we're going to go ahead and we're going to add the total hours. We've got 10 for Tuesday, 10 for Wednesday, 975 for Thursday, 10 for Friday, and 4 for Saturday. So we have 43.75 hours for the week. Okay. The regular weekly earnings. Okay. Regular weekly earnings. Okay. Well, for the regular weekly earnings, we need to know the rate of pay, and that is provided to you in the time card. Okay. The hourly rate is $10.45 on the top right corner, $10.45. The overtime rate is 15.675. Okay. So my regular pay is going to be our first 40 hours. Okay, let me put that right here. 40 hours. And we're going to multiply that by the rate of 10.45. So 40 hours times 10.45. Let's see what that gives us. 40 times 10.45. That gives me $418. Okay. My overtime earnings. And we're going to keep the 3 rates. Okay, so for my overtime, how many hours of overtime do we have? Well, we had 43.75. That means that we have 3.75 hours of overtime. And my overtime rate is 15.675. That is stated on the time card. Okay. So let's see what we get. 3.75 times 15.675. That's going to be 58.78125. So we're going to round that to 2 decimals. We're going to look at that third digit. Remember, if that third digit is a 5 or greater, we round up. If it's between 1 to 4, we keep the second digit as is. So that means that my overtime will be 58.78. 58.78. Now we can calculate the total weekly earnings, and my total weekly earnings are basically your regular pay of $418 plus your overtime pay of $58.78. Okay, let's see what that gives us. 418 plus 58.78. That gives me 476.78. Okay. In order for you to get all of this correct, you should have calculated your hourly, your total hours by day correctly. Okay. If not, you're going to have issues over here in your calculations. Okay. So in this time card, it was fairly easy to identify the item that you needed to adjust for. It was given to you 13 minutes late. Remember, if they're more than 10 minutes late, you're going to penalize them 1/4. And 1/4 of an hour is 1/4. That's 0.25% penalty. Okay. So the only adjustment we had was on Thursday. That's when they clocked in at 8:13, more than 10 minutes late. Everything else, the adjustments are disregarded. Make sure that you read carefully where it states the company disregards any time before 8, between 12 and 12:30, and between 16:30 and 1800. Okay, and it permits employees to ringing up to 10 minutes late. Okay, so reading and understanding the problem is very important. Okay, so that is a time card using a continental system. Okay, all of the information is provided. Based on the information, we have to analyze it, figure out how many hours were worked each day, and then once that's done, we can be able to calculate our regular and overtime earnings. Okay, so that is it for this particular lecture. I cannot stress it enough to please read the chapter. Attempt all of your problems, look at the different exercises, examples included, and use them as reference. For those problems that have a show me how video embedded in Cengage, please look over those videos. Please look over my course syllabus. If you have any questions or concerns, please do not hesitate to reach out to me Monday through Friday, and I will be more than glad to assist you. I hope all of you have a wonderful rest of your week, and until next time, bye-bye.